Fine. Okay. So now we'll jump into the security session, guys. Okay. Very interesting concept. Security. Okay. Security. So listen carefully, guys. Okay. Security. Okay. So security means how we are able to log into the SQL servers. Authentication, authorization, principal, securable. What is a login? What is a user? How to give access on server level? How to give access on database level? How to give access on table level? All these things will be covered under security. Listen carefully. It's not so difficult concept, easy concept only. But if you feel that it is a difficult concept, at the end of the security, maybe today I'll start security, right? In the next weekend, maybe Saturday, we might complete the security. It will take two complete sessions, or Saturday evening, next weekend, Saturday evening, we'll complete the security. At the end of the security session, I'll tell you again a 15 minutes or 10 minutes brief on the security concept. So try to concentrate. That is also useful. This is also useful. But if you are not able to get this, just that 10-minute session is enough. Like how we will create the logins, how we will give access on server level, how we will give access on database level, how we will give access on table level. The 10-minute session is also enough. But try to understand the internals first. Okay. Concentrate as much as you can to understand these things. But if you are not getting anything, don't worry. Wait for the 10-minute session. That will be also sufficient for you. Okay. Fine. So security means what and all things will be covered in the security, guys. How we are logging into the SQL server, in what way, how the access will be managed, how to grant the access, how to revoke the access. Okay, all these things will be covered under security, SQL server security. Right, so now when you are connecting to the SQL server, now you can see there are two types of authentications. One is Windows authentication. Second one is SQL authentication. Forget about other options. Okay, we will use these options for Azure instances. Okay, so that's why we have these many authentications, but generally we don't need this. Okay, now first let us discuss what is authentication and what is authorization. Try to understand these two terminologies. What is authentication? What is authorization? Okay, so let's discuss authorization first. Having access on some resources is called authorization. Authorization. Having access on some resources is called authorization, guys. Authorized. You are an authorized person to access that or to use that. For example, if you go to shopping malls, guys, are we allowed to go to each and every corner of the shopping mall? Generally, tell me. Are we
No.
allowed? No, we
No.
are not allowed. We will only allowed for the shops in the shopping mall or restrooms. Okay, we cannot go into the power rooms, right? We are not allowed. We cannot go into the maintenance rooms, right? We are not allowed. And if you see the power rooms and all, on the door of the particular room, you can see a board. What is that board? Anyone? Can anyone recollect, guys, that one?
Allowed to go in.
Yes, authorized entry only. Authorized entry only means those who are having actual access to enter into that room, they only can enter into that room. Authorized entry only, like power rooms, server rooms, you can see this board, authorized entry only, or any manager rooms. Like that, you can see this board, authorized entry only means you are not authorized to enter into that room. Those who are having access, those who are authorized to access that room, they only can enter into the room. So SQL Server is also like that only, guys. It's also a shopping mall. When you enter into the SQL Server, don't think that you are able to access all the things in the SQL Server. No, we can restrict at any level. I can restrict you at server level. I can restrict you at database level. I can restrict you at a table level. I can restrict you at any point of time, at any particular, okay, component I can restrict you. So connecting to the SQL server, that doesn't give you full access. Again, entering into the shopping mall, that doesn't give you full access on the shopping mall. In the same way, connecting to the SQL server also, that doesn't give you full access to the SQL server. I can give you full access, but I'll not give you, I mean to say, the organization will not give any full access to anyone. Only DBS will have full access. All others will have the access based on their roles and responsibilities. Okay, so first try to understand how a Windows authentication will work, how a SQL authentication will work. During the installation, I told you, right? Authentication screen, I told you. Okay, authentication screen, I told you there is a separate concept called security. In that, we will discuss like that. I told you, so we'll discuss that. So authorization means having access on some resources is called authorization. What is authentication? What is authentication, guys? Process of verifying username and password is called authentication. Process of verifying username and password. Say for example, there is a server room in your organization. On the board, you can see authorized entry only. So when you see authorized entry only means, is the door open, guys, easily? Is the door open 24 by 7? No. The door will be closed, right? So everyone can enter into the room, guys, server room? No. So only authorized people can enter into the room. So while entering into the server room, what they will do, guys, to open the door? What they will do?
Swipe a card.
There are different
That's the card.
options. There are different options. They will swipe their ID card. They will give biometric. They will give that what we can say retina biometric. This one, eye retina. They will give, or they are going to insert the card, or they are going to insert the pin based authentication. Okay, they will have a pin. They will type that pin. Then door will be unlocked. So these are all the different ways of authentication methods, guys. Pin based authentication, swipe based authentication, biometric based authentication, retina based authentication. Okay, these are all different types of authentication. Means process of verifying the username and password. Very simple thing. Everyone is using Gmail account, right? Everyone is using Gmail account. So when you are creating, if you have already having an account, you will simply use that username and password. What it means, guys? You have your username and you have to give the respective password. Then it will check whether username and password both are matching or not. If both are matching, then you are allowed to enter into the Gmail, guys, right? That is called authorization. Having access on Gmail is called authorization. But while accessing the Gmail, you will give username and password, right? Correct? So the process of giving username and password is called authentication. The process of giving username and password is called authentication. So in the SQL Server, we have mainly two types of authentications, guys. In the SQL Server, we have mainly two types of authentication. One is Windows authentication. Second one is SQL authentication or mixed mode authentication. Okay, this is also called a mixed mode authentication. So how Windows authentication will work? How SQL authentication will work? When I'm connecting to the SQL Server, it is not asking any username and password. What it means? Can everyone connect to SQL Server? Now I am not giving any username and password. I'm connecting and I'm happily running lot of things. I'm executing lot of things. I'm deleting lot of things. I'm keeping online, offline lot of things. Lot of objects I'm creating. But it is not asking any password to connect to the SQL Server. No, nothing. You can see here Windows authentication. Nothing it is asking. And when I click connect, I'm able to connect. Where is the security here? Are you getting the point, guys? Where is the security here? Can anyone tell me?
Here it is.
Yeah, when you log in the computer, you provide
Very
username
good.
and password.
Very good, Tesham. Very good. Nice. Nice. That is called Windows authentication. See, guys, don't think that you are not giving username and password. I'll tell you. When you enter into the shopping mall in the beginning, you will be scrutinized, right? Correct. Say, for example, you're in the airport. So when you want to take any flight, so in the airport itself, you are going to complete the check-in, right? Whatever security checks are there, you will complete all the security checks in the airport itself, right? Initially, when while we are entering into the airport, initially there will be a scrutiny, right? They are going to check everything. Then before boarding also we will have a security scrutiny. There also they'll check. So once you are scrutinized or once the security check is completed, you are allowed to board on any flight, right? Based on your flight, right guys? Again, in every flight they will not check you, right? In the same way, the same example, when you are entering into the shopping mall, in the beginning of the shopping mall itself, they will check you. They don't check for each and every shop. When you are trying to access each and every shop, they don't again check you. Are you getting the point, guys? In the same way, when I am entering into the Windows machine, remember, remember, let me disconnect this. I am disconnecting, clicking OK. Remember, see here. Now I am clicking connect and I am giving the server name, yes. And I am connecting using this username, okay? Username, computer name slash administrator. I am connecting. While connecting to the machine itself, okay, while connecting to the machine itself, I'm completing my authentication. Now I'm giving the password. Don't think everyone can do that. As I know the password, administrator password, I'm giving the password. So now I am able to connect to the password. Now I'm able to enter into the Windows machine by giving the password. So at the beginning, while entering into the Windows machine itself, I'm completing my security check. Then Shanmukh, you can ask one thing. Hey Shanmukh, whoever can access the Windows machine can all access the SQL server. Why? Because Windows team will access the Windows machine, storage team will access the Windows machine, network team will access the Windows machine. They all can enter into this Windows machine. They all can connect to SQL server, guys.
No.
No, no, no. See here, security, go to security, go to login section. See here, the login is presented when you are installing SQL Server. Remember, guys, we'll select one option called add current user. When you click on add current user, it will create a login account for you. Listen carefully, those who are there in this list, they only can connect to SQL Server. If Windows team is connecting with their name, as their name is not there in this list, they cannot connect. If storage team is connecting to the Windows machine, as their name is not there in this list, they cannot connect. If network team is trying to connect to this SQL server, as there is no entry for their team, you can see in the logins list, so they cannot connect. So connecting to the Windows machine, that doesn't give you access to the SQL server. Is it clear or not, guys? Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, only the people who are there in this logins list, they only can connect to the SQL server. So I am completing my authentication while entering into the Windows machine itself. First check, second check, I'm a part of the logins list. That's why when I disconnect, I'm able to connect to the SQL server. See, Windows authentication. See here, username it is actually taking. It is not asking you as it knows the username. We are connected as an administrator. When you are opening any apps, so administrator is opening the app. So here it is already there the username. It will not allow you to give the username again if you choose Windows authentication. But if you choose SQL authentication, it will ask you to give the username and password. But when you choose Windows authentication, it will not ask you any username and password. That doesn't mean everyone can connect. No. Who are successfully logged into this machine, that guy, and who is part of the logins list, that guy only can connect to the SQL server using Windows authentication, guys. Is it clear? Everyone, is it clear, guys? Are we good? So here if you see, let me go back and let me go to this drive O. So now try to understand this, okay, using the diagram. This is my Windows machine. Listen carefully. This is my Windows machine. Okay, and this is my SQL server. SQL server. Or else let me do like this. Okay, this is my SQL server. Okay, so in the SQL server, we have a logins, guys. This is the logins list in the SQL server. Logins, Control Z. Okay, right. Now listen carefully. Now, how Windows authentication will work, guys? Now, Active Directory users. That will be fine. Let's take this and okay. What people. Okay, fine. So now see here. In the organization, if you want to connect to the Windows server, generally what you will do, guys, this is the Windows machine, okay? Windows server. So what you will do now, first you will have your own laptop here. Laptop. This is the laptop. Okay. Now the server will be somewhere, maybe in the data center, in any data center. So what you will do, you will open the RDP. In the beginning, I explained you the same diagrams, guys. You will open the RDP in this Windows laptop. In this Windows laptop, you will open the RDP. So when you open the RDP, you will give the server name. You want to connect to the server name, you are going to give the server name. Okay, the same server name, you are going to give it. So when you give the server name, you will get the credentials. Once you are selected into the organization, they will give you separate credentials to access the servers, guys. They will create an account for you and they will give you separate credentials. So now using RDP, you entered into the server, guys. Now you entered into the server. When you entered into the server as a DB, I'm saying a DBS or Windows authentication people, that this is how they will connect to the SQL server. So Windows authentication people always they will enter into the Windows machine. Okay, they will enter into the Windows machine and from there they are going to access. From there they are going to access, guys. Okay, so Windows people are those who can access the Windows machine. They will enter into the Windows machine. They will open SSMS here. They will connect to the SQL server. But provided this guy should be part of this logins list. As this guy is part of the logins list, both are matching, then SQL Server will allow him to connect to the SQL Server. Is it clear, guys? Is it clear? So while entering into the Windows machine itself, you are completing the authentication process. Now you are an authorized person. That is one check you are completing. Second check, you are also part of the SQL Server's logins list. So you are completing two checks here. So that's why you are able to connect to the SQL Server. Again, I'm saying connecting to the SQL Server that doesn't give you the full access. I have to give the full access, or those who are having a full access has to give the full access to you, or they can restrict you. Don't think that when I can enter into the Windows machine and I can enter into the SQL Server can do anything. No, 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 no. I can restrict you at any point based on your roles and responsibilities. Is it clear, guys, how Windows authentication will work? So Windows authentication means you log into the Windows server first and then you'll open SSMS here. This is how DBS will connect, and then you'll open SSMS here, and then you are going to choose the SQL server name and all, and provided your name is already created in the logins list, so you are able to access. But you are able to access the Windows server, but your name is not present in the SQL server logins list. Now can you access the SQL server, guys? Can you access the
No.
SQL Server? No.
Yeah.
Now this is why Windows team, network team, storage team, they can't connect to SQL Server, even though they can connect to Windows machine. Why? Because they can enter into the Windows server. Entering into the Windows server doesn't give you access to the SQL Server. You should be part of the SQL Server's logins list also. If you are part of the SQL Server logins list, then you are able to connect to the SQL Server, guys. This is how the Windows authentication will work. Then Shanmukh.
Sanmukh, I'm sorry to interrupt. If someone log into Windows machine using administrator account,
Hmm.
he will authorize to access the SQL Server as well.
Yes, if you gave Abhilash, okay, Abhilash is a sysadmin. Now, if you share your credentials, if anyone is entering into the, for example, your Gmail and password you shared with me, now I am entering into the Gmail of your Gmail account. Can I do anything? Yes, I can do anything. Why? Because I have your Gmail account and password.
Yeah.
I can send mails to anyone. I can create new folders. I can delete the existing mails. I can do whatever I want. In the same way, generally administrator credentials will not be shared to any one of them in the organization. Administrator generally don't think that organization will give you administrator account. No. If you are using administrator account, if I am using administrator account, if someone is using administrator account, if anyone deleted any object, how it will be tracked? It will simply track administrator deleted. Then how I can track whether Abhilash deleted or Abdul deleted or Akshata deleted or Fayaz deleted? How I can track it? Are you getting the point? So
Yes.
organization will never give you a single account to connect to the server. They will create a separate account for you with your name, so that I can easily track it. Okay, Abhilash deleted this. It will show you in the logs. Abhilash deleted this. Abhilash restarted this. Abhilash did this. Abhilash did that. I can see it in the track. That's why if you shared your credentials with anyone, they can misuse it. If you're having a sysadmin and if you shared your credentials to some other guys, they can enter into the server, they can do whatever they want. So it's not only administrator. If you know administrator username and password, you can connect. But whatever you're doing, it will be on the name of administrator. So that's why, because of these challenges, customer users, I mean to say, the application team or DBA team will never allow you to connect to the SQL server using administrator account. They will create a separate accounts for you in the organization. Okay, guys, are we good? Yeah. How SQL authentication will work then? So we have a challenge. Only two people can connect to the Windows server at a time, but we will have 200 developers, 2000 developers. How they all can connect to the databases? How they will use the SQL authentication? Okay, they will use SQL authentication. So SQL authentication means you will not enter into the Windows machine. Okay, the SQL server will be installed in this server and SSMS will be installed in the server. Let me delete this. Let me use another laptop which is like this. Okay, I can type it right. So only SSMS will be installed in the developer's laptop. Okay, SSMS. Only SSMS will be installed in their laptop. Okay, imagine she is a developer. Okay, imagine she is a developer. Now she will enter into her laptop, right? First she will log into her laptop and then she will open SSMS. Once she opened SSMS like this, the same SSMS she can see. And while connecting, she will give the server name and she will choose SQL Server authentication and she will give her name. Imagine Akshata. Okay, and she will give her password, whatever it is 1 2 3 4. I'm just giving a wrong password. Can I connect, guys? Now, can I connect? Guess it.
No.
No. Yes.
So the answer is no. Why? Because if Akshita is part of this list, Akshita can connect. Is she part of this list, guys? No. So Akshita cannot connect. Even though Akshita is company CEO, if you are not part of, how machines will understand you are a CEO, you are a DBA developer? They don't understand. Pass, your account is there or not. If you have a pass, I'll allow you. If you don't have pass, I don't allow you. So in the organization, if security guard is having access to SQL Server, he can connect. If CEO, if he, even though he is a part of, I mean to say, even though he is a company CEO, he cannot connect. Why? Because the machine, the server will check whether CEO account is there in this list or not. If security guard account is there in this list, it will simply. Why? Because you don't know CEO security guard. Anyone who is there in this list, it will allow. If you are not part of this list, it will not allow you. That's it. No matter who you are. Is it clear, guys? This is how SQL authentication will work. SQL authentication means will only, that's why in the developer's laptop only SSMS will be there. They will connect to somewhere the databases will be some other location, database servers will be in some other locations. They will simply open the SSMS, they will give the server name to which server they want to connect, and if she is part of this logins list, control Z. I am not able to select this. Okay, let me take this. Okay, so if Akshita is part of this logins list, Akshita can connect, guys. If Akshita is not part of the logins list, she cannot connect. Is it clear, guys? So in the imagine Akshita is a developer. In the Akshita's laptop, Windows team will install only SSMS. Then Akshita will log into her laptop. Then she will open SSMS. Then she will give this server name and she will choose SQL authentication and she'll give the username and password, and then she is able to connect to the SQL server, guys. Is it clear? So Windows authentication or SQL authentication, the main thing in Windows means without password you can enter. But again, without password means actually you're giving password in the OS level. So for Windows authentication, the OS level already you are a verified user. So if your account is provided in the SQL server, it will allow you. But whereas SQL authentication, okay, so it don't verify in the OS level. So again, SQL server level it has to verify. That's why you have to give username and password while connecting to the SQL server, as it has to verify using SQL Server authentication. Is it clear, guys? Windows authentication, SQL authentication. Is it clear? Everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Shanmugh.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, this is how the authentication mode will work, guys. This is how the authentication mode will work. So, Windows authentication, that's why generally in the organizations, only DBAs will use Windows authentication, remaining all are will use SQL authentication. But guys, functionality wise, there is no difference between only while connecting, it don't ask username in the SSMS screen. Okay, but it will take the username from the OS. You are successfully verified user in the, that's why I told you an example. In the while entering into the shopping mall itself, you are already successfully verified person. So now again metro station, while entering into the metro station itself, you are successfully verified person. So again by taking train, while taking the train, it will not, they will not check again. Okay, here also the same thing, guys. If you choose Windows authentication, Windows level, you are already successfully verified user. That's why you are able to log into the Windows machine. And your account is also there in the SQL server, so directly it will allow you. SQL authentication, you have to give your username and password again and again. So it will verify whether this guy is there or not in the login. SQL server will do this business. That's why that is called SQL authentication. In the Windows authentication, Windows server will verify whether you are a valid user or not. Whereas in the SQL authentication, only SQL server will verify whether you are a valid user or not. Okay, so this is how it, but functionality wise, whether you are a Windows login or SQL login, if I give you sysadmin for both of you, you can perform same activities in the SQL server. A Windows guy also, a Windows login can also a sysadmin, a SQL login also can a sysadmin. Only while connecting, there is a difference, guys, between Windows and SQL authentication. But permissions wise, there is no difference between these two accounts. What a Windows authentication person can do, a SQL authentication person also can do the same thing, provided if you have valid permissions. Are you getting the point, guys? Only while entering, it will check you are a Windows guy or SQL guy. After entering into the SQL server, based on your permissions, whatever permissions you have, you can perform those actions, guys. Whatever permissions you have, you can perform the particular tasks and all. This is how the authentication will work, guys. Okay, fine. Are we good? Right. So that's it for now. I don't want to again extend this. I want to start another new concept, but it will take extra time. So that's why I'll stop here. So in the next class, we'll discuss one by one we'll discuss about the server roles, database roles, okay, and all these things will be covered. Then I'll also show you how to create different types of logins, how many types of logins. I'll tell you how to identify Windows login, SQL login, group login. So all these things will be covered in the next class, guys. Okay, Saturday morning 7 a.m. IST. Okay, guys. Fine.
Okay, Chinmay. Yeah, fine.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, guys.
Sharuk.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Okay,
Good night,
thank
guys.
you.
Good night. Good day. Bye.